Brad.
Well, I'm going to see if I can get the Coach Morin's Leadership Academy. But no, now I don't have internet. Okay. Well, anyway, so those T-shirts said, it has my phone number on the back there, and so, they can walk around the community knowing that they will be held accountable, for their conduct. And I should say that I did not get I've only gotten one negative phone call in all the years that I did when I was in Cape. Was from a waitress at a diner in South Portland, and my offensive line, and back in those days, the LaValle boys, and I mean they were 300 pounders, and they went in and ate a big breakfast and left a tip, but it wasn't a hefty tip, and so the waitress was upset. She called me to let me know, and so I kind of gave the guys a pass on that, but we had a little lesson on how to do math, 15%, 10% of your bill and stuff like that. So character is obviously important in terms of building a program. Again, the focus can't just be on wins and losses, although that's winning is important, being competitive is important. Obviously, I think this goes without saying that this is important. So camaraderie, again, Coach Roach did a great job with this, and I was it was really cool to kind of hear what he was doing, and even Half. I don't know when I heard your stuff on what you do with your kids and your high school kids and your youth kids, and a lot of similarities in what a lot of these programs are doing. So again, involving the community, again, talking about the process. The kids really remember the process, and just supporting each other, caring for each other, and communicating with each other. And that's a year-round thing. And again, that was mentioned before in other presentations, but the coaches that coach from August to November only, unless they have horses every year, they're not going to be successful. I mean, we keep contact with our kids year-round, and it's a great opportunity to get to know your kids and outside of football, and let them know who you are as a man, and just being a positive mentor. So a couple things that we do. I mean, we do team dinners. I mean, again, this is as far as a community thing. We're not going to be able to get this stuff, but we team dinner at a local restaurant. We have we had a summer camping trip this summer where it was kind of we did about 4 days, not the whole team, but it was just maybe 10 or 12 kids, seniors and juniors. We take the kids paintballing every August down in York. Down in York there's a great company down there. That's always fun for the kids to have a shot at. Blasting the coaches, and then vice versa. We do a tradition of the burning of the old shoe, which I'm sure some guys do. That's an old Springfield thing, and that's something for seniors going into as we go from the last week of the regular season to the playoffs. And then we do our first week of preseason. We go to camp, we go away. That's a great opportunity to bond, do some fun team building stuff there. But again, the point is that this is kind of what I was talking about before. Like, this is the experience. I mean, you notice that there's nothing about football there. It's all about spending time together and enjoying each other, and just the guys know that they have a lot of people that care about them and are there to support them. The other thing that we do that I have something called. So we split our entire team into what we call bomb squads, BOM, branches of military. And so, we had 6 this year, I think. We added a special forces one, but and each coach is assigned one of those squads, and then it's mixed classes, and then we appoint kind of 2 two players as kind of like the leaders, and they're, if you're the leader of the Navy, then you're a rear admiral, and the coach is the admiral, and we just kind of talk about the structure of the military and how it's very similar to the structure and the dynamics of a football team. And so if we compete, we have competitions. We could compete using bomb squads. When we go away to camp, they cabin with their bomb squads. Each coach, when they eat in the cafeteria, they eat with their bomb squads, and the coach is there. And so that's a way for them to sort of get to know another coach as maybe a go-to guy other than me. And so again, that camaraderie piece is really, really important. By the way, obviously any questions come up, I'm going to try to zip through this so we can have questions afterwards. But if there's anything burning, feel free to just stop me. So am I going the wrong way here? Okay. To me, this is huge. I had to do this in Cape, and I did it in South. I had to do it in South Portland, and I know that I've had conversations with other coaches who have struggled with this. But it's to me, it is one of the fights worth fighting, and that is, I combined all of South Portland football and when I at Cape, all of Cape, so that it's one program. And so I would have to say that was the biggest, not challenge in South Portland last year, but it was definitely the biggest, I don't want to say shock, but people just didn't quite get it. They did, what do you mean? Like, you're the high school coach. What do you want to talk about? What are you going to do with the flag program? What are you going to do with youth tackle and stuff like that? And, because a lot of towns and in South Portland, it was separate, and so this is the one thing that you can do is to make it a K through 12 program. Again, it's a lot of management, it's a lot of delegating of different guys and young and women in positions of responsibility. But it's huge. And so, and then you tell your high school team that we're one program, and then they're going to be more inclined to associate and work with the young kids and vice versa. And so, again, this is a huge shift in South Portland, and it was in Cape. And so, again, youth clinics, I think, this has been talked about in other presentations as well. Unfortunately, like, we're supposed to be doing all of our clinics this spring, and those had to get canceled. We got one in, but we have the high school players run it. And the kids absolutely love it. So what we're doing right now is we're making little videos, and we are sending them out and posting them on social media, and basically, teaching kids how to tackle, and, kind of going through and asking the kids to do the drills, at home and stuff like that, just to maintain that connection with our little riots, because it's huge. It's a huge thing for these kids. Yeah. So Coach Roscoe is just saying, what is everyone doing to stay connected? So we're doing, so social media is obviously a big thing, Coach. And I think, as far as like, we're connected, and that's actually, I'll talk about, let me talk. I don't know if you're asking about the high school. Are you asking how we're staying connected with the high school players or the youth kids? Coach Half, can you unmute?
Yeah, I'll see if I can do that.
Okay.
Aaron, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we got you, Coach.
Okay. I was actually thinking about when you were talking about a few minutes ago about your high school kids, and you were thinking about doing something to stay connected with those guys. Like I said in the question, I've sent out a couple emails to parents and players, but I was wondering if you were thinking about doing anything else, or if any of the guys, for that matter, are thinking about doing anything else, Zoom or whatever.
So I'll try I think my Wi-Fi is a little wacky. But let me see if I can just try to pull up. Oh shit! I don't want to do that, Bob.
While he's doing that, Coach, I can tell you that I've done the same as you. I've emailed both my players and my parents a few times. I'm trying to do like maybe an every other day one with the players. I've given them some suggestions for some places on Twitter, on YouTube they can go for some workout stuff. Just a lot of texting guys individually, particularly some guys that I know are guys that don't have it the best at home. And also encourage, not just as part of the recruiting process, but just as a way for us to all kind of stay connected, is for all of them to create a Twitter account and try to do some things, that way. Getting those juniors working on their highlight tapes, encouraging guys to work out, but a big part of it, and I said it, I did an interview today, and I did one with Travis Lee the other day too. I think the biggest challenge we face right now is just the mental health of these guys and what that's going to be like when this thing's over. And probably nobody has a bigger impact on those guys' mental health than us. We're some of the people they trust the most. So I think the more we can reach out and the more creative we can be about it and do it, the better at this point. Those guys need to hear from us.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think I'm back on, so I'm going to see if I can pull up. I'll present here in a second, but oh shit. But Coach, so what we did, I did this right from the get go when we went into this quarantine, and I just kind of feel like I think a part of it was because it was also I was doing it with my middle school kids too. But I started a spreadsheet is what I did with all the kids, and so I don't think there's any private information on here. So just to take a look at it. So I think you guys should be able to see that.
Yeah, we can see that, Coach.
Yeah. So essentially what it is, so you can see like in the month of, so I just took each class. So here you're rising seniors, and I split them up in half. And so, and we just set up a Google Meet, so it's and 5 o'clock for one group, 5:30 for another group. And then on Wednesday we did rising juniors and then rising sophomores. And then I'm also just sort of like marking like the kids that I messaged, kids that were on the video call right here. And we were able to reach out and connect with each and every kid, at least via video or message. And now, I met with Coach Cook, yesterday about this. And so now we're going to actually assign coaches to text certain kids. And I asked Coach Cook to kind of fill in, the kids that he is sort of like marking to text with. Okay. And so I just think, we've got 70 kids, and I just think that it's and Coach Cook made the point last night that, we're all going to sort of gravitate to certain kids as position coaches and so on and so forth. We don't want one single kid to fall through the cracks and not get reached out, and make that connection. So the other thing that we're doing too is we're doing workouts. I mean, those guys we post the workouts. Our strength coach is put together kind of home workouts, and then I'm asking these guys to send me videos of them doing workouts. So that's kind of what we're doing. And believe me, it's the stuff that they're sending me. I mean, they're entertaining themselves. I mean, they're squatting their dogs, and, they're pushing their mom's car and stuff, whatever. I mean, it's not really our workout, but they're doing some stuff, and they're trying to get creative and fun with it. At some point, I'd like them to actually do our workout, but so that's what we're doing. The Google Meet's good. Zoom's good. As long as you can, get the security. Just talk to Hath about getting the proper security for it. That's what we're doing. And so in addition to that, we're also doing stuff. I'm having these guys make videos to send to our young kids too. So they still feel like, the high school kids are thinking about them and thinking about them playing football, learning football, and getting excited for a fall season. So, again, high school to youth connection. Coach Moore did a great job with this, and in fact, I'm going to steal a lot of what they're doing in Massabesic in terms of their organization. We run clinics. I assign on Saturdays. Again, using the bomb squads, it's a great organizational tool. So we have a rotation. So Saturday, Navy, you're going to attend the middle school game. Army, you're going to attend, the 5th and 6th grade game. And freshmen, you're going to referee the flag games. Not freshmen, but whatever the squad is. And so again, we're just trying to be present with the youth. And then the Meet the Riots event in the fall, we did something like that at Cape. And I'm in the process of, I want to talk to Hath about what they do with their camp. Because I love that idea. And I know that Tim Roach said that he does something with the Murphy workout where the kids come. And so we're going to put that in place at some point. Sort of a K through 12 full program event, again, just to build that community. So this is the one thing that there hasn't been a presentation on, and it could be because it's the least sexy, it's the least interesting perhaps, or maybe it's because, everybody has a different booster situation, but in Cape, the boosters fully fund, 95% funded the football program. And so I took the lead to organize and build the booster organization in Cape. And it is a well-oiled machine now. And they're good. And you've got to get obviously the right people in there. But they do a great job. And so when I came to South Portland, there were three people, four people on that made up the booster program. And so that was a big project, but also an urgent project. And so in order to build a successful program, you need support. You need people to go out and organize and fund and get donations for team dinners. You need fundraising to be able to purchase the things that you want to be able to purchase. And so there's just a lot to do. And I put it on the boosters to say that, look, as a program, our work ethic is going to be second to none. So it's not just going to be the coaches and it's not going to be the players. It's going to be you guys too. And, that may come off as a little pushy. But I think parents like that. I mean, I think basically the message that, the parents are receiving when a head coach says that is, man, this guy really is getting after it. I mean, this guy really wants to do some things. And, if he's going to work hard and the staff's going to work hard and the player's going to work hard, then we should probably work hard too. And so, that's sort of like the mentality around that. The other really important piece is the organization of it. And so, so when I came in, I basically, and it's not the best position for the head coach to be involved in the boosters. I mean, my goal is eventually to step away, which when I was at Cape, the last, 5, 6, 7 years, I just attended the meetings. I mean, like I said, we got it up and running. Not quite there yet with the South Portland boosters, but we're close. And so, we have an executive board, and these are the elected positions who sort of, which is a part of every kind of board or organization. The other directors to make up the 11 person body. There's a fundraiser director, which again highlights how important that role is. And then there's an at-large. The other directors are football level directors, which I appoint. And so, and that we just amended the bylaws to make sure that that's not elected, because I don't want any sort of, any shenanigans from some overzealous, dad that wants to sort of, get his way into the program to to sort of usurp, me or any of my coaches. And so I appoint the directors. And so I have a director of high school operations, director of high school football, director of middle school football, youth, tackle, flag. And they're just the liaisons. A lot of times they're the head coaches of those teams. And in fact, for youth, for middle school and youth tackle, they are the head coaches. And so there's 11 people that kind of make the decisions. Although at booster meetings, everybody's invited. We encourage all parents to come from all different levels. And if you're at the meeting, you get to vote on the issues. The last meeting that we had before the quarantine, we had 35 people show up, and from all different levels. The other roles in the booster organization that we have, we appoint a team dinner coordinator. We appoint an apparel coordinator. And again, this is more volunteer. This is really where you kind of have to beg people to take on these roles. But they do. And again, you delegate, and people will accomplish and work hard if they have a pretty sort of focused area. Okay. And so like our game day program, I thought was outstanding. And we have one mom who just worked her tail off and to solicit businesses and put together a great book. So, those are the different roles that we ask parents to kind of step up and do. And that way everybody feels like, they've kind of sweat a little bit, and they have a little, they have a little something to be proud of as well. And so everybody's kind of working hard, and it sets that culture of, we grind. I mean, this is hard work, and this is what it's going to take, for us to be successful. And then they see the product, and they see the kids proud, and the community proud, and it all kind of feeds off of each other. So this is the other thing that was new in South Portland, because obviously there was no alumni to speak of in Cape. My director of operations, which I'll talk about in a minute, suggested that we start to maybe think about creating an alumni group or an association. And in South Portland, there's just a ton of guys around town who love the program, and they love the fact that I'm back because I'm an alum, and so we wanted to kind of jump on that and take advantage of that momentum. And so we created the beginning of an alumni association. And some schools may already have this, but there wasn't one for South Portland football. There's no Hall of Fame, South Portland Football Hall of Fame for as long as it's been around. Portland has one. I actually attended and was invited to one of those banquets, and it's pretty cool. So we had an event last year that the Alumni Association put on after our Chevrolet game, which was great. And then also try to get alumni on your coaching staff. And I know that that's been talked about quite a bit in these presentations, but I think the advantage of that is you can't measure it. And so, we have 13, me and Hath are always competing to see who has the most coaches on staff. And Hath, I have 13 this year. How many did you have? I know you got me beat. How many did you have this past
16,
year?
Man. 16 guys on staff this year.
Listen, I'm not counting my manager, though. You count your manager?
Nope. 16 actual certified coaches, and I think we're going to add one more. I think Zach Bonham is going to hop on board next year to help us out a little bit. So
That's fine. That's good. But and I know people used to give us and still do kind of like snicker at that. But man, I mean, so we've got 13 coaches, and maybe I'll get you beat on this one, Half. Eight of the 13 are alumni, South Portland alumni.
I'll have to count that one up. Me, Gray, Twitchell, Wes Searoy, Drew Levitt, Bruce Jordan. That's 6. My father is 7.
Count yourself?
And Rick Peabody is 8.
All right. Okay. But obviously that's huge, right? And again, that kind of builds into and feeds into the pride of the program as well. So before I get into this, I can't remember at what point I did want to, and I almost said remind me, but just as far as like the effort that it takes to build a program from ground zero, I would be remiss if I didn't say that, it's hard work, and it is always a work in progress. And, in Kate, we almost lost the program in 2012. It almost just faded away. And, I took a lot of responsibility for that. I took my foot off the gas a little bit, and was kind of resting on, we had a pretty good year in 2011. We obviously had, a good run from 2006. We, Western Maine Championship in 2006, 2007, 2008, 3 straight years in the Western Maine Championship state game. Lost to, obviously, Coach Half in 2009. 2010, was okay. Made the playoffs on a coin flip. And then 2011, we did pretty well. And then 2012, we started the year with 30 kids. And we ended up playing in a playoff game against Marshwood as an 8 seed. We ended up playing with, I think, like 20 kids. And kids were basically done after that season. And so the reason why I say that is 2 things. Number one, going back to putting a product that you can be proud of. We competed like hell in that game against Marshwood, and we were an 8 seed, and we had, like I said, we had like 20 healthy kids, and putting defensive ends at cornerback and stuff like that. And so, but our kids competed, and but we also had to reflect a lot after that year, and we kind of felt as coaches like that was one of our best coaching years, despite the fact that we were barely squeaked into the playoffs in an 8-team playoff system, and we had to do a major audit and reevaluation of how we did things, and our approach and our focus and our work ethic as a coaching staff. And I fell on the sword on that, rightfully so. And so I just think the reason why I say that is because it's easy to kind of stop and slow down and be content with where you're at. And I think that's exactly what I did. I was content with the success, the competitive level and all that stuff. And you just can't do it. If you want to maintain and sustain that level of, competitive play, you can never stop. And so I only say that because been there, done that, learned a lot from it. So, so speaking of like work ethic, I just think that as a head coach, high school football coach in 2020, you've got to be a visionary. You've got to be a CEO. You've got to be a manager, mentor, motivator, communicator. If you notice, there's nothing in there that says you've got to be an expert on wing T. You got to be an expert on, although some people are, Coach Rotzko, but or you've got to be a defensive guru or anything like that. I mean, obviously that helps, and there are coaches in the state that certainly are. I'm not a guru. This is kind of what I am. What I've had to do in order to sort of build these programs is I've had to have coaches on my staff that I consider to be extremely bright, extremely talented at what they do, not just X's and O's because they're tremendous role models, but the head coach has so much more to do to build his program that if you don't have competent, talented coaches on your staff, how can you just can't do it all. And I've never been able to do it all. So I've always had to, to put people on my staff that are not only great role models and mentors for our guys, but also can coach football and really do a good job. And so, yeah, Coach Moore, I'm getting the plug. So again, and I know Coach Hath is going to talk about this later about how he structures his staff, but you get the head coach. I have an offensive coordinator, I have a defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, and obviously position coaches. JV freshman coach, and over the last 4 or 5 years, I've had a director of operations, and that has been to me the most pivotal key role as far as overall program building. I could have the director of operations and not have an extremely talented offensive and defensive coordinator, and we wouldn't be successful. To me, you've got to have both, because having a director of operations to work with me exclusively allows my coaches to coach. Obviously, we have a strength and conditioning coach. We have a director of technology, a guy that does all of our film and huddle stuff, and then obviously equipment managers. But just to give you like an idea, if I can get this pulled up, I might not be able to because of the Wi-Fi. No. So it looks like, it does want to open. So, I think we all have guys that kind of do this, as far as like practices, ensuring that the managers and the equipment and, stuff is posted, et cetera, et cetera. Game day, kind of taking care of details, detail guy, right? And I had this guy in Cape, what I didn't have in Cape is the administrative stuff, the behind the scenes stuff. And so Coach Clark, who I think might be on this call, he's the guy, he's my T crosser and I dotter. And so he's the one that I bounce all the ideas off of. He attends meetings, and sort of gives feedback and sort of, kind of talks about big picture stuff with me. And, if I want to do big things as the sort of the visionary of this program, I need to have a guy that's kind of in my corner that can kind of talk about those kind of things with me. Not that I don't discuss those kind of things with my other coaches, because I certainly do, but this is the stuff that other coaches may not want to be inundated with, because it's sort of like that exterior kind of stuff. And so, he's been integral. And that position has been integral to help sort of build, what it is that we want to build, in South Portland. And so the structure of the coaching staff is huge. Delegating is huge. Trusting your coaches to do their thing is huge. And again, the communication piece is obviously, something that we work on and all the time. So communication wise, I tried to, I think we saw a few Instagram is really where it's at these days. I guess I'm speaking from the kids that I know, but they're not on Twitter. Unfortunately, they're certainly not on Facebook. They don't check their email. So
I've been told that Twitter is an old man's game. That's what they tell me.
It definitely is. I thought I was cutting edge when I got on it. It's great for like coaches, right? Coach to coach communication and resources and stuff like that. But Instagram, thank goodness, is sort of like the middle ground where kids are still on Instagram and adults are still on Instagram. And so that's sort of where we can kind of meet. And like I said, they're not on Facebook, and I'm not going to get on Snapchat. I kind of leave Snapchat for them. And so Instagram is kind of where it's at, and then texting, that's obviously the other big thing. But so you've got to be well versed in all of these, because if you want to reach out to your parents, Facebook, that's where it's at. Email is obviously the adults in your community and in your program. But you have to be well versed in this, and you constantly have to be thinking about how are you going to communicate, what you're going to communicate. And again, this has been like a learning process for me. There have been, and I actually, one thing that I don't have in Cape, but again, a part of, Coach Clark's role is kind of taking this on. I had and it wasn't really a team mom, but it was a parent liaison. And she was a mom, but she would basically kind of reach out to me and say, hey, do you think you might want to send out, some information about the upcoming barbecue or whatever? Because I just hadn't thought of it, because I've got other things going on. So she was sort of great in that. Coach Clark, my director of operations, that's the kind of stuff that he does right now. He's constantly reminding me, hey, just checking in on this, just checking up on this, because I'll throw an idea out at him or I'll start a project. And he's the guy that kind of keeps me going on those things. So I think that's kind of it, as far as in a nutshell. I know I sort of repeated a lot of stuff that Coach Rotzko and Coach Roach and Coach Morin and didn't really get into the details that Coach Soren did with the practice organization. And I know you're going to get more in depth with the coaching staff, but I mean, that is a part of the blueprint. I mean, I think the one thing that I sort of have pretty good experience with, that I haven't really seen a lot of, is sort of the booster organization. And I don't know what other people's experiences and programs. I know that I've got a coach on staff that's coaching my 5th and 6th grade team, Coach Wayne Richards, and he's sort of a well-known entity, from up north back in the day, Morse guy. And, he said that when he was at Morse, the young coach there really had a hard time getting their youth coaches, to sort of on board with what he wanted. And so I've never had that issue. And I know that, Coach Roach talked about that too, that was a part of his early struggles, and he decided that was a battle he wanted to fight. And I think he's right in that. And so I just think, obviously different towns have unique situations, but I do think that the general blueprint is similar no matter where you go. I just think that you have to, you have to get your kids to play competitively, and so that the community and the school can be proud of the product that they see. You've got to create a family atmosphere, and you've got to create an experience that the kids. Look, I have kids that play football that aren't good football players at all, and I'm sure you guys do too, and they know it, and they sign up every year knowing that they're not going to play, knowing that they're not good, but they just love being a part of something that's bigger than themselves, and we talk about that. And that's why you do the paintball and the team dinners and the camping and the competitions and stuff like that, because that's important to them. These are kids that can't make it in any other sport or any other club organization. There's no cuts in football, and obviously, we're mentoring these guys, and the parents and the community and the school administration and the teachers appreciate that aspect of it too. So it's good. I mean, it's, like I said, in South Portland, those guys were hungry to compete, and we had a great year. We had a lot of fun. Ran into obviously a buzzsaw at the end of the year, but man, I mean, we walked out of that season with smiles on our faces, because we know that we competed. We had 70 kids come out, and the JVs and the freshmen had a great time. The parents had a great time, and it's a feel good thing, and the community was excited about it. And so it's not rocket science, but it's hard work. So, and you just can't stop. So I'm good, Coach. If there's anything else that, or Coach Hath, if you want, you look like you're struggling there with.
I just turned the lights on. It was all dark in my house and whatnot.
I prefer,
man, that was awesome, Coach.
I prefer you in the dark, by the way. I think you know that.
Appreciate you taking the time, and every time, even though we've had a few of these talks, every time somebody comes on and does one, I get a new idea or just another perspective, and same thing tonight. And it always, just hearing other guys talk about it always just puts it in perspective to me and reminds me that, it's just important to make those connections with kids and in the community. And that's really the biggest piece of what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I desperately, I just know that there's a lot of coaches out there that want to start programs, right? And they're excited at the prospect and of it, but once they get into it, there's so many challenges along the way. And I don't know if those coaches, I'm hoping that with what you're doing here, coaches will know that there are guys out there that will literally bend over backwards to help them out. And somehow, if we can get that message out to them that, we're seeing it with the college coaches too. I mean, this is sort of a fraternity that, we want to help each other, we want to help each other. So
no, it's that's been the coolest thing about this is just seeing, connecting with everybody and seeing how willing everybody is to help each other out. And all the college coaches have been super awesome when I've contacted them about wanting to get on and wanting to help out, and get a lot of good feedback about just our coaches association and how we have a good thing going here and are really stepping up in this time. So that's good. Man, your communication stuff is dead on, because that was a weakness for me, I think. In 2 years, I try to make a personal goal every year, just something that I really need to improve on as a coach. And 2 years ago, that was it for me. I'd never been on social media. I didn't really talk to parents, unless I had to. Didn't keep regular contact, through email and things like that. And since I started doing that, it certainly has made things a lot smoother.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, and in my personal philosophy is, and I know coaches sort of, they don't like this, and I get it, but I tell my parents from day one that, you need to reach out to me, whenever, however, for whatever, because if there's a question or an issue, I'd rather deal with it. I'd rather have a conversation. I'm not going to take it personally. We may agree to disagree, but I'm going to listen to you, and hopefully you'll listen to me, and we're going to have your son's best interest in mind. And I've worked with coaches that sort of create this wall around them where they're, they don't want to be approached, and that's good because it's safe for them and they don't have to deal with it. But I find that you end up dealing with it one way or the other. And so, and the same thing with the kids. And so, but it's you got to be relentless. I
always tell my parents too, like, I'll talk to you about anything, but just remember that I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
You're going to be honest with me for sure, but I'm going to be honest back. And, I think over time, that's appreciated. They know they're not going to get some BS line from me, just trying to put them off or whatever. I'm going to give you an honest evaluation of whatever I think the situation is. And,
it's not personal. It's just not personal.
It's worked out better than it has just trying to put people off and, go about it that way. And I think, just to kind of finish up, the other good point you make is it's hard. This is a hard job.
It's real hard.
You guys who are just getting into it.
It's real hard.
There's a lot to it. And if you don't have some guys to help you, you're going to get overwhelmed. And if you can't delegate some things to guys and find some guys that you can trust, and most importantly, find some guys that can teach on the field. Because you can't coach everything. I've seen guys burn out trying to do it. And, you got to find some guys that you can trust, and you can teach them some things that they can pass on. But, it's hard work. It's a grind for sure. All right, fellas, I'm going to close this thing down unless anybody else has any questions. It was good seeing you all. We'll be back on tomorrow. Coach Cause tomorrow with the Why We Need Football talk.